People are dumb,
He
and
gonna
we
be
have
he
to
gonna be
talk
silly
to them.
like
Imagine that. So like, go ahead, Quadras.
no Salaki. Yeah, he gonna be silly like that the whole damn night. Yeah, that's enough for his ass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Go ahead, Ariella.
Con.
So I was trying to help the brother out, right? Because you kept asking what is. So we're asking you for the definition of a Negro. So I'm gonna give you the definition of the word definition. The definition of definition. Now, a statement of the exact meaning of a word, especially in a dictionary. The degree of distinctness and outline of an object, image, or sound, especially of an image in photograph or on a screen. So again, we're asking for a dictionary definition of what is a Negro. Yet, Yosef was telling us what a Negro is not. That does not help me understand what a Negro is. Is
Yeah,
and not are opposites.
and this is it's so there's so much ignorance in what the man is spewing. Number one, okay, when we want to get technical about European interaction with people of color and application of the term Negro, Niger, Moor, etc. That was to put on Arabs too. Does that make Arabs Negroes? No, right? Let's put on Hamites. Does that make Hamites and Israelites the same? The racial construct is a modern construct, right? It's less than 200 years old. The race idea. Indigenous people, Mexicans, Native Americans, peoples of North Central South America were all labeled Negro, right? That doesn't mean they were all black people and there's been a conspiracy to replace them. All right, you can take a look at the imagery and see there was a variant in look. Various historical facts on it, right? So this is it's stupidity, right? That term Negro applying to a race of people who look a certain way is a new idea. It's certainly not 2,000 years old. Certainly not, right? And that was a term again in antiquity that was applied to just the darker groups of people, right? That could be an East Indian, that can be an Arab, that can be an Israelite, that can be a Hamite, etc. It's not exclusive to any one nation. We're talking about an ethnic group and a nation. Race in the Bible means people descended from one common. And somebody just give me the etymology of the term race, please.
I got you, King.
It's really simple. The common ancestor is Jacob, right? See how stupid he felt once I said, "Well, my father's a Negro." Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Now he's confounded, right? You sound dumb.
Khan. So I got the etymology of race. That's people of common descent, 1560s. People descended from a common ancestor, a class of persons allied by common ancestry. Of
Common ancestry. Who is the common ancestry? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. That's the common ancestry, right? You mean to tell me it was you had Jacob was out over 3,000 years ago, and he had kids, and all of his kids and their descendants for the last 3,000 years have looked one way. That is one of the dumbest ideas that I've ever heard in my life.
Khan.
The Rothschilds are Jewish people, right? Their grandbaby is black. Right now, they got a black grandchild right now. Is that baby not a Rothschild? Is he not a part of that family? That's stupid as hell to think, to assume. That's why Ariana made the statement. He's never met a smart Negro because the whole idea, the whole notion is asinine at its core to think that all of the descendants of Jacob have kept a consistent, similar physical appearance for 3 millennia. That is, it is hard for 3 generations of people to do that, let alone 3,000 years of tens and hundreds of millions of people. That's nuts, right? And it's all predicated upon a false pretense. It's all predicated upon the false pretense that there was a homogeneous appearance of the Israelites at our genesis, at our inception. But here's what I'm going to break to you guys. All the ancient Israelites were never Negro. That didn't happen. When you look at how the Egyptians depicted us on their walls, there was dark skinned ones, there was Latin looking one all the way back then. It's not new. It's always been like that. We're the last group of people to become a nation according to the Bible. So what does that mean if we're the last to become a nation? We had to borrow biology. We had to borrow genetics from the pre-existing nations for us to exist. And the pre-existing nations had a variant in look, especially where we're from in the Levant, which is where multiple cultures come together: the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Edomites, the Ishmaelites, the various Hamitic people, right? So if we're around Hamites, if we're around white people, if we're around Arab people, if we're around Asian people who they call Mongoloid, we're around all of them, and we utilize all of them to become a people, wouldn't that stand to reason that we would have characteristics and traits and physical appearance that at least somewhat corresponded with them all the way back then? Stands to reason, right? But bringing up reason into this conversation doesn't make sense. You know why? Because these niggas are not reasonable, right? They don't deal with reason. They don't deal with logic. But you got it, Ariel.
Con. So one, I want to bring out the etymology of the word Negro, right? And it's so crazy because I are daily, they're truly blessed. All right, that's an old saying for in the South. If you're, oh, bless his heart, that means that you're an idiot, right? So our blessed brothers of the Negro only persuasion, right? They don't understand the etymology of the word Negro, right? So Negro, 1550s, member of a black-skinned race of Africa. Well, hold on. So even that is problematic. There are various people groups in Africa who don't all look the same, right? So it's a member of black-skinned race of Africa, from Spanish or Portuguese, negro, black, from Latin negrum. All right, it says black, dark, sable, dusky, gloomy, unlucky, bad, wicked. So what does this tell you? This tells you that this is a byword, right? It says, according to Devon, a word of unknown etymology. According to Watkins, perhaps from this word, which means night. The Latin word also was applied to the black peoples of Africa, but the usual terms were Ethiops and Afar, right? So for Ethiopians and people of Afar of North
Now,
or Africa.
now mind you, Ethiop means burnt face.
Yes, that is indeed correct. Right? It says, as an adjective from 1590s, used with the capital N, became general early 20th century. It says in reference to U.S. citizens of African descent, but because of its perceived association with white imposed attitudes and roles, the word was ousted late 1960s. In this sense by black, right? So Negro is a derogatory term. It's a byword that was placed on us to describe us and describe various different people groups in what is known as Africa. And then it was replaced with the term black. So this is not something that is an identifying mark on who the Israelites are. No one on the planet called an Israelite a Negro, all right, or black in the ancient times. They did not call them
Yeah.
that.
In additionally, to go to the book of Acts in the New Testament, when you have an entire kingdom of Israelites who were centuries removed from that part of the world by that time period, and try to utilize that to monopolize a physical appearance of Israelites is problematic, right? The scholarship in the archaeology says that there was distinguishable ethnic differences, even in appearance, of the northern and southern kingdom by the time they split, right? So what about the archaeology of the northern kingdom king that looks like a straight up Puerto Rican with middle parted cornrows
Great.
in his head,
It looks like
right?
Robert.
Con, bring that out.
That's
Con.
that's the You gonna argue with the archaeology, right? That's what it said. And there's archaeology that depicts Israelites as dark skinned, what they would call and consider Negroes as well. So we're going to just throw all of archaeology and logic out. I mean, that's what they're proposing. To just, hey, I know we have all the proof that proves that we're wrong, but we're going to swear that we're right, right? That's intellectually dishonest, right? That's it's detrimental, right? And it's retarded. What do I mean by retarded? What I mean by retarded is a very technical term of what it means to retard something. It means to slow it down. You're slowing down the brain by 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 espousing such belief. It's nuts for real, right? We go.
Con all praises, right? So I wanted to bring out a couple of precepts real quick, right? So can someone get
Yeah, so like this. Everybody PTR. Just take a look at Quatazabala's picture, right? On his PTR, Officer Quatazabala, he's got the document, he's got the artifact right there. That was a Northern Kingdom king again. Scholars agree that there were distinguishable ethnic differences between the two kingdoms by the time they split, meaning in general, the Northern Kingdom looked different than the Southern Kingdom, right? In general, that's scholastic. Okay, we didn't just make that up. Then they left that side of the world and came over to the Americas, right? So they're not going to look the same as the Jews of the first century that are being wrote about in the book of Acts, right? I'm gonna tell you what's hilarious though, Ariala. He's gonna go to Acts, right? And he's gonna criticize the Torah. Oh, this one witness of Miriam criticized the Luke didn't even see what happened in Acts 13. You do know that, right?
yeah, but yo, so Chief, so before you came to the room, all right, and I was asking, well, what is a Negro? And of course, he was playing this song and dance about, oh, it's not this, blah, 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 blah. He said that they are descendants of Shem. I said, okay. I said, are all Shemites Negroes? He wouldn't answer that question. Then I asked him, I said, okay, who are the Moabites today? He wouldn't answer that question. I tried to ask, okay, are the Moabites Negroes? He would not answer that question.
It could, because it shows how problematic. Just like going back, if y'all watch the Viva Yasharala series, it's hilarious when these dudes emphasize woolly hair as if that's the only type of hair texture an Israelite can have. When you have Elamites have Elamites and Moabites have the straightest hair in the world, right? Hands down, right? And they're Shemites. Even if you want to say, well, I don't believe Chinese people are Moabite. Okay, well, the hair grade that all the black woman was putting in their head to be straight was East Indian hair. It wasn't white people hair, right? It's East Indian hair. They got the straightest hair in the world. It's not like Esau, where it's just straight and thin. They have Elam's hair is straight, but it's still thick. It still has volume, right? And they're Shemites. There's no disputation of that. They're one of the oldest, most uninterrupted genetically ethnic groups in the world, or East Indian people, right? You could do a study on the evolution of ethnic groups just predicated upon them because they existed in this valley for so long, kind of uninterrupted, uninterfered with by other people, as far as their biology goes, right? They're just like that one tribe that's down there in South Africa. They look Asian, like they haven't really been. You said what?
The Khoisan people, I believe that's
The
what they.
Khoisan people, right? Because they've been around that whole time, and not there's not a lot of other people that have been introduced into their gene pool, right? Same thing with the East Indians, right? So if we take a look at them, right? Um, if we take a look at them, uh, and we look at the fact we know they're Shemites because we can go into the lineage and see where Elam comes from, right? If we take a look at that, then how can we insinuate that there's one hair texture that the Shemitic people have? Right? When we can clearly see otherwise. See, y'all niggas want to have a biological conversation and you don't even know nothing about biology or how it works. Right? You don't understand genetics and how it works. Even let's deal with the term genetics. Let's break genetics down, right? The term genetics, break it down etymologically, the root word is what? Gene, which means what in the Greek? Beginnings, where you get the term Genesis from. The beginning, right? You're studying the beginning of something. Well, what is the beginning of the Israelites? Jacob. Irregardless of any physical appearance, right? And big up to my powerful brother Shawpar Benyamin from HOY. He just slid something to me in the back channel, which is a tremendous point. If we read the book of Esther, right? Esther, they didn't know. They had to ask and inquire as to Esther's ethnic makeup. They didn't know automatically she was a Jew. So if this is this look that the Israelites have of being black, why in the hell do they have to ask whether or not this person is an Israelite? Why don't they just know automatically?
That's a great point.
See what I'm saying? Go ahead, Asad. You was gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just going to touch on Ariala's point, and I was going. Did y'all bring up Genesis chapter 30 about the spotted cattle already?
I was about to bring that out.
Okay, yeah,
That's
you can.
such a powerful point through the spirit of power. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai.
Yeah, you can go ahead and bring that out, Ariala. But before you do, the notion that anybody who descends from Shem, those are who the Negroes are exclusively, is such a it's such a ridiculous and asinine, or as Stephen A. Smith, asinine, asinine, as 11. It's the dumbest stuff you could ever spout. Ishmael comes from Shem. Esau comes from Shem. Just in Abraham, many nations come from Abraham alone, let alone his ancestor Shem. So to suggest that anyone who comes from Shem is the nigga. You go. I dare you to go tell a Ishmael, go tell an Arab that he's a nigga right now. He gonna look at you so crazy. But Ariella, go ahead and hit that Genesis, I think 30.
I was going to bring out just for a prerequisite, Jeremiah 50:6. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. So we see the Israelites are likened unto lost sheep. Psalms 119, 176. I have gone astray like a lost sheep. Seek thy servant, for I do not forget thy commandments. So Israel is likened unto sheep, right? So here we are in Genesis 30, and I will start at verse 30. It says, for it was little which thou hast before I came, and it is now increased unto a multitude. And Yahweh hath blessed thee since my coming. And now, when I shall provide for my own house also. Right. So here is uh, Jacob in the house of Laban. All right. He's making Laban rich by increasing his cattle. Verse 31. And he said, what shall I give thee? And Jacob said, thou shalt not give me anything. If thou wilt do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep thy flock. I will pass through all thy flock today, removing from thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all the brown cattle among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and of such shall be my hire. Right.
See that? You see that? He chose the brown and the spotted. So all the ones that were brown and diverse, that's Jacob's flock.
Con. And check this, Chief, right? When you look at, how man looks at raising cattle, raising horses, raising dogs, right? You have this thing called purebred, right? Everyone wants that beautiful gray, blue nose pit. Everyone wants that, completely, black horse, or that all white horse, or that chestnut colored horse, right? People are looking for those. When you have a speckled or spotted sheep, horse, goat, calf, right? That's the unwanted. So Jacob's flock was the undesirable, the unwanted. The same way the Israelites are the undesired, the unwanted, right? Let's go to
Real quick,
Deuteronomy.
Well,
Ariella, if I just real quick, brother. I just want to my bad, Alice, are you going to say something?
nah, I think we were gonna say the same thing. So go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know, it's kind of blurry. I put it as the what's it called, PTR, whatever
Yeah,
that. I just put that as my picture. I think y'all got to probably swipe down to refresh it. But if you literally just look up in Google, I'm not joking, what color are sheep? It's gonna let you know. Sheep are largely variations of brown hues, and variation within species is extremely limited. It says colors of domestic sheep range from pure white to dark chocolate brown. So just like the Israelites, you can get a brother that's super light, you can get brothers that's super dark. There's different variations of brown. That's what the Israelites are. What is it? Alizar, who said this? There's 7 shades of brown, 9 shades of
No,
yellow.
no, no. It's 8 shades of yellow, 8 shades of brown. That's the 5%er in the Nation of Islam teaching that goes all the way back.
con, right?
But
So
but but what were the 5%ers in the Nation of Islam teaching? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the same people and are the chosen people of God, ultimately, regardless of any other place where they defer that from accuracy and truth. They had that part down pat. We're coming out of New York, and these niggas and these spics, these are the people that God loves.
Con, right? So again, looking at this situation with Jacob and his flock, they are the undesirables, all right, amongst the
Oh,
purebred.
so like amongst the purebred, and that's the interesting part. So you have these Negro onlys that will forward this doctrine that you have to be purebred, but the very foundation of Israel is not the purebred, not the desirable, the ones who are diverse. That is our father Jacob's flock. That's what he chose for himself. And you mean to tell me that now something's different?
Con, right? So, and again, Deuteronomy 7 is going to demonstrate that, right? So let's go to Deuteronomy 7 and 6, right? And I'm going to read to verse 7. It reads, "For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God," right? Leviticus 20 and 26 says that the Lord severed us from other nations. Um, it says, the Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor chose you, because ye were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people, but because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he swore unto your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you from the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Right? So when we look at the reason why the Lord chose the Israelites, of course, he had to keep his promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But it was not because we were the greatest or the most in number. It's because we were the smallest. We were the most undesirable. We were the bondmen and bondwomen serving at the bottom in Egypt because we were the undesirables. The same way those speckled and brown sheep and cattle and goats were undesirable amongst the flock of Laban, which means white, right? Let's point that out. Laban means white, right? This is why the Lord chose us. So it just shows that Israel has always had a variant look, and we are not purebred or just this pristine
We're,
pool
we're,
mix or whatever.
Yeah, we don't have just a monolithic presentation now. Anybody can look at Quadrabala's PTR. You can look at my PTR. Now watch this. I'm about to change my PTR. We're going to take a look at a depiction of an ancient Israelite, right? So just take a look at my PTR now. PTR again. And let's take a look at the depiction of an ancient Israelite, right? That doesn't look like your run-of-the-mill Negro necessarily, right? Not that it couldn't be, but it doesn't look like your run-of-the-mill Negro necessarily, right? Now we're gonna do another PTR of a depiction of multiple ancient Israelites, right? This is off the walls of Egypt. This is how the Egyptians who were oppressing us saw us. So you see how there's two that are dark skinned, then you got two that are light skinned, but they all classified us as one people, the Shasu people, right? These are the people that were led by Amun Misi into a rebellion, right? And left the slave rebellion that left up out of Egypt and became the Israelites, according to Egyptian history, right? This is how they looked, different, various. Some kind of favored the Egyptians, some kind of favored other Levantine Shemitic peoples, right? Either way, the Egyptians viewed us all as the Shasu, as the Israelites, and this is how we started. So y'all got to really get out of these ideas, but a lot of it is predicated on this false idea that Israel just started off as this completely Negro people, and that is not the truth. So we got to first get that up out of our heads, so then we can start understanding how the physical characteristics developed over the course of time with the Israelites. Right? Go ahead, Ariella.
Con, yeah, man. It's. I also have on the top of the page the Viva Yasha Allah series. All right, I think it's a seven videos in that. It's a playlist, so you can look at all the videos that Chief went through. Right, and it's extensive archaeology, extensive research, and actual sources, scholastic sources that No one has yet to refute point for point, right? No one has offered a viable antithesis. The same way they will not give a viable antithesis to who the Israelites are, right? What's your 12 tribes breakdown or chart? Who are these people that you believe are in Africa? Like, who are these different peoples? No one has that. So, if there's any Negro only brothers in the audience, please come up and answer the question: what is a Negro if only Negroes are Israelites?
Man, oh man. Man, oh man.
Listen, man, it was so crazy. What prompted me to make this room is I was chilling in the I was just chilling. I was up late, and I haven't been on Clubhouse like especially late at night. And I saw a room Sister Tafara was doing. It was just like a regular room, and there was some brother talking about how Genesis is all literal, like Eve ate an actual apple or nonsense, right? And smacked him around through the spirit, and then some nigga that I don't remember who apparently remembers me was a Negro only, and he was asking me all these asinine questions, and he was just being wild disrespectful to my brother Yawasop from Ranga Dogabari and calling him a white man. So I was like, all right, well, if this brother's white, okay, and you believe that all Israelites are Negroes, I need to know what the hell a Negro is.
That's it. And here's how problematic it is, right? Okay, so you want to call somebody white? Okay, well, Bob Marley's a black person. Bob Marley's a black person, right? Who can dispute that? His father's white, but that's a black person, right? There's nowhere he will go in the world where people will not think that he's black because of how he looks. See, that's what happens when you play the physical appearance game, right? Okay, it's about physical appearance. So all these, Taj, T, and Tamara Mowry, they're black people. I mean, they look black, don't they? I mean, I know that
Mm-hmm.
their father is white, but hey, we're going off what's a Negro, and those are Negroes, right? They
Juicy
don't look,
Smollett.
yeah, they don't look racially ambiguous. They don't look biracial. They look like they just black people. There's people with two black parents that look exactly like all the people we just named, right? Yet and still, no, 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 they got a white daddy. But wait, no, 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 you didn't say nothing about somebody daddy. You said how somebody looked. What happens when you play the looking game? When you play the white man's looking game, you're gonna lose. We can't win playing their games. I want you to know that. We can't win playing their game. We win playing Yahweh's game. And Yahweh's game is very simple, right? A man has children. Those children belong to him. If he belongs to a particular nation, then those children belong to that nation. If he's in a tribe, he's a descendant of one of the 12 tribes of Jacob, then those children are descendants of one of the 12 tribes of Jacob. God said he's coming to save the seed of Jacob, right? The seed. So all you have to be. All you have to be is a product of the seminal fluid of Jacob to qualify for salvation. It's that simple, right? There's nothing else, right? So y'all can keep playing these games. You're gonna keep looking stupid. Because here's what I'm gonna tell you, right? Bob Marley is a black person. Taj, Tia, Tamara Mowry, them is black people. You know why? Because black ain't got nothing to do with patrilineage. It has to do with physical appearance, right? That's what it has to do with. So you sound stupid because we know those are Edom. What means Edomites? Yeah, you're right. But an Edomite doesn't necessarily mean a white person, right? It means a descendant of Esau. And the Israelite doesn't necessarily qualify to any of Esau's modern day racial constructs and these are like, you do understand that race is a social construct, meaning people in the current social atmosphere that we live in built up this idea. That's what it means. It's been socially constructed. Men built this idea. God didn't tell nobody this idea. People built this idea. It's a social construct. Y'all gotta understand that, right? Modern people made this idea up and you subscribe to it, and you're trying to fight for liberation for your people in it, and you can't do that, right? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, you got Africans that are coming from Africa to America and are being socio-economically empowered automatically by the white American establishment power structure. And they're black, but they're not you. They're black racially, technically, but they're not you. Why is that? Because it's not about race. You're the only idiot that think that's what it's about. You're the only idiot that think it's about skin color. If that was the case, why don't East Indians get shot down? Why don't East Indians get treated bad because they're so dark skinned? I go into corner stores all over this country in ghetto neighborhood, in black and Hispanic neighborhoods, and I see Arabs and I see East Indians and I see Ethiopians, blacker than anybody else, running these stores, prospering off of us, right? Prospering off of Latinos, prospering off of light-skinned niggas, mixed niggas, etc. Right? But there's a difference in the way the world treats them versus us. Why? Because it's not about how anybody looks. It's not about race. It's about who the Israelites are. It's about nations. It's about what the Most High said it's about. Nations. And guess what? There are nations that can look identical. Doesn't make them the same people. Stop being so stupid, y'all. Stop being so dumb. Right? We're having a question of ethnicity, not of race in the modern concept. Now, ethnicity in its true concept goes back to the etymology, which we just read, the etymological definition of race, which means, a group of people descended from a common ancestor. That's what race really is, right? That's what race really is. But they've changed it into a color game. So what we believe and we think is race in a modern concept is not the true idea of race. So we can't deal with that, right? We're dealing with what they call now ethnic groups, ethnicity, right? Which is going to supersede physical appearance. Israel is never and has never been or had a homogeneous appearance, a monopoly on appearance, meaning Israel has not always only looked one way. We've always looked multiple ways, right? Let's get 1 Kings 14 and 21 real quick.
Any brothers on the stage can read?
Salakia, First Kings what?
14:21. You heard me. 14:21.
I got you. The book of First Kings, chapter 14, verse 21. And it says, And Rehoboam the son of Solomon reigned in Judah. Rehoboam was 40 and 1 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, in the city which the Lord did choose out of all the tribes of Israel to put his name there. And his mother's name was Naamah, an Ammonitess.
Ammonitis was his mother, right? Nobody didn't say, man, this dude ain't no Israelite. Nah, nobody had a problem. Nobody batted an eye. It wasn't a big deal, right? But wouldn't his physical appearance be different? His mother's an Ammonite. Wouldn't it vary a little bit? His mother's an Ammonite. But he looked the same as all of his brothers. You know what they do then? This is the game they played in so they can make their BS make sense. Oh, see, if she just lived in Ammon. But wait, but wait. But it says that Solomon took many strange wives of the Ammonites. They worship their gods. What are you talking about? Well, uh, I'm gonna be honest, we be mostly slow country niggas, right? Right?
Always.
Let's be real, okay? And I found out. See, I live in the South now, so now I found out all these niggas in the South is not country, right? We used to think that. Now I live here. I say, oh no, everybody's not actually country. That's down here, right? It's the ones that's really from the backwoods, right? That's the ones that's really country. The ones that's be in here from the cities, they be like, man, them niggas country, right? So man, it's nuts. It's really nuts, Hassan.
No, I mean the whole story of Jephthah too. It's crazy how you hear people say things, and then the Bible that they claim to believe in just says something totally contrary. It still calls Jephthah, despite the fact that his mother was, I believe, a non-Israelite. Still calls him a Gileadite, which a Gileadite would be a Manassite, I believe. So
Yeah, that's a family of
of
Manasseh,
Manasseh, exactly. So how do you explain that? He judged
right?
Israel for 6 years, and our
Well,
people. My bad.
and Ammon was the king.
Yeah, the
Not
very.
Ammon, Salakia. Rehoboam was the king, and he was half Ammonite.
Yeah, exactly. And the very thing that people try to do nowadays with, oh, this person's mother's a non-Israelite, woo etc. That's what was going on with Jephthah. And then afterwards, when we were getting our asses kicked, I think by the Midianite, not Midian, it might have been
Yeah,
the
it was,
Ammonites.
it was Midian and
Midian, no, it was
Amalekites.
Midian. Yeah, they begged him, please come be our leader, and then he became their leader. And he judged Israel for 6 years, and it calls him a Gileadite, which is a Manassite. So again, the Bible says one thing, and they say something completely contrary. But go ahead, Ariella.
Kind of. It's so crazy. What I found is that a lot of Negro onlys, they'll spew this retarded Mamzer doctrine, right? And then they'll also try to say, "Oh, Ruth was a was an Israelite." That's typically what they'll relatively uh, semi smart one will go with that ideology, but it just does not work altogether, because you are what your father is. We can see this in the law. We can see this exercise in Ezra and Nehemiah when they were coming back. But I wanted to bring out some history on this whole ideology of race
Well,
and
what about Rahab?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
she an
yeah,
Israelite?
yeah. What about Rahab? She's clearly not in. No, brother. That was that. See, what they have to do is make everybody into an Israelite, because there are too many instances of an Israelite procreating with a woman that's not an Israelite, right?
hmm
And even look at in Judah's lineage, when that Judite don't have no sons and he give his daughter to his servant.
hmm Yep.
It doesn't call that those children Israelites, right? That doesn't happen. But what's interesting is we don't like kick them out either, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this whole idea that Israel would just had this concept where if you weren't a pure Israelite, you wasn't around. Like, that's not real. What about the Kenites that came and lived with us,
Yeah.
right? But we did practice ethnic hierarchy, and we certainly had classism. As far as if you were an Israelite, you had to be treated a certain way, and if you were not an Israelite, you would be treated less than. It didn't mean you would just get foul treatment, because we still had laws in place, but you certainly would be less than, right? And Ariella, we could push it to 9:15 because this premiere is a little late, so we could push it to 9:15.
Con.
But it's there's I just can't even believe the type of shit I hear niggas saying, man. Salaki for the label. I just can't believe the stuff I hear come out of people's mouths sometimes. It's just so not true.
Yeah, and what is what? I'm not going to use profanity, but what the hell is a pure is? What does that even? What is a pure Israelite? What does that even mean?
How
Joseph, he
how
took
how
wives that
how,
were Egyptians.
how can
Judah, yeah,
how Salaki Hassan, how can such a thing exist?
yeah, exactly.
Con.
Unless what? Unless we procreated with Dinah, but not,
If you
that's
read
it.
if you read Jasher, yeah, the whole tribe of Simeon, all right, are the products of Dinah and Simeon, all
Oh
right,
my
according to Jasher, bro. That's in there. But
Now
I
that's
wanted
a
to,
now that's a mamzer.
yeah,
yeah,
that right there is a
But
man.
but guess what? Even though it is, it doesn't mean that person doesn't have a nation.
Yeah,
That's how stupid they were. Mamzer don't have a. Well, what do you? There's not the Bible doesn't talk about stateless people. That's also stupid.
right,
Chief, check
exactly.
this. It's lucky. Earlier today, we were having a conversation with one of LaRon's little flunkies, and he was talking about, oh, if you're an Israelite and you commit all of these acts, you're cut off from being your people. You're no longer an Israelite. So I said, okay, so if I'm cut off from my people, what am I? Am I just like an animal now? Am I not a human being? What is my nation? And then the nigga couldn't answer the question because it just does not make sense. But I want to bring out some historical racial concepts, right? So in it says early history, it says in many ancient civilizations, individuals with widely varying physical appearances became full members of a society by growing up within the society or by adopting the society's cultural norms. Classical civilizations from Rome to China tended to invest the most importance in familial or tribal affiliation rather than the individual's physical appearance. Even
And,
during the
and,
time.
and it's a like you. Duh. We all already. Here's the thing, though. We all already know that. Everybody knows that, right? Everybody has lived that in the ghettos of America, right? That there's the light skinned person, a brown skinned person, a dark skin. We're all there, right? We're all growing up together. We're all the same, right? Essentially, at the core of what it is, regardless of how anybody appears, right? Um, why are we trying to rationalize something that is contrary to your personal life experience? I don't even understand how that's possible.
Yep. So, and as you read this, it starts to go into classical antiquity, Middle Ages, and as you go closer and closer to modern times, you start to see a lot of these like ridiculous racial ideologies, right, spring up. Like during the 14th century, it says in the 19th century, Al-Jahiz, an Afro-Arab Islamic philosopher, attempted to explain the origins of different human skin colors, particularly black skin, which he believed to be the result of the environment. All right, so we see this whole idea of like Darwinism start to, evolve at this point in
That
time.
that's interesting. That now we could actually identify when that stupid argument came into existence, because that individual, that philosopher, he clearly had never encountered anybody in the Himalayas before. Which would explain why he can't explain why this cold ass place has these dark skinned people.
Yep. So then it says in the 14th century, the Islamic socialist Ibn Khaldun dispelled the Babylonian Talmud's account of peoples and their characteristic as a myth. He wrote that black skin was due to the hot climate of sub-Saharan Africa and not due to the descendants of Ham being cursed, right? So we see this happening. And then we go into the 17th century. It says German and English scientists Bernhard Varon and John Jay classify human populations into categories according to stature, shape, food habits, what? And skin color, along with any other distinguishing characteristics. That's retarded, right? Now let's bring up this is called let's look at this whole idea of Negroid, right? It says Negroid, less commonly called Congoid, is an obsolete racial grouping of various
It's a what? Don't breeze over that. It's a what
Obsolete.
racial? An obsolete, meaning if you still using that term, you're an idiot.
yes. That's what that means. It says is an obsolete racial grouping of various people indigenous to Africa south of the area which stretch from the southern Sahara Desert in the west into the African Great Lakes in the southeast, but also is isolated parts of South and Southeast Asia, Negritos. And then it says the term is derived from the now disproven theory of biological race. The concept of dividing humankind into three races called Caucasoid, Mongoloid, and Negroid, originally named Ethiopian, was introduced in the 1780s by members of the Göttingen School of History and further developed by Western scholars in the context of racist ideologies during the age of colonialism.
So anybody that is solely that's putting all their trust in the identification of Negro or Negroid is literally worshiping racist white science. That's what it said. The
That,
last part you said racist, right?
yes, it says racist ideologies.
What's your source? Set your source again for us, Ariana.
So it says, Salakia, where's that? So it says the concept of dividing human kind into three races called Caucasoid, Mongoloid, or Negroid was introduced in the 1970s by members of the Göttingen School of History, all right, and further developed by Western scholars in context of racist ideologies during the age of colonialism. So let's go into it's Göttingen School of History.
Yeah, that's Germany, I believe.
It is German. The Göttingen School of History was a group of historians associated with a particular style of historiography located in the University of Göttingen in the late 18th century. The group of historians played an important role in creating a scientific basis for historical research and were also responsible for coining two fundamental groups of terminologies in scientific racism. It says Blumenbach and Miner's color terminology for race, Caucasian or white race, Mongolian or yellow race, Malayan or brown race, Ethiopian or black race, and American or red race. It says Goddard and Scholzer and Eichhorn's biblical terminology of race, Semitic, Hamitic, and Japhetic. So basically, you got a bunch of white people, right, who believe that they're superior to everyone, trying to break everyone down into these arbitrary racial categorizations, right? And then they got the nerve to think that they have the authority to break down biblical terminology for races, whether you're Shemitic, Hamitic, and Japhetic. And this is where the whole ideology of the curse of Ham and things of that nature was placed on us, and it was the reason why they enslaved us. So if you're holding on to the idea that you're a Negro or a Negroid, you worship white supremacy.
And you're
You
calling
are
yourself a
an idiot.
Canaanite, kind of. And you're
Essentially,
indirectly calling yourself a Canaanite.
Right.
it's madness, absolute madness. So I don't think we're
And
gonna.
one final point I wanted to bring out too, just going back to the point, Alazar, you were making earlier about how they'll say the Mamzer thing, and the Mamzer doesn't have a nationality. Um, Ariala, another definition for Mamzer is a product of incest, right?
That is correct. Child of
Are
incest.
Ammonites and Moabites products of incest?
They are indeed
Okay,
products.
so what is the nation? If someone's an Ammonite or Moabite, what is their nationality?
Moabite or Ammonite.
Oh, so that means a Mamzer can have a nationality. You see how stupid that is? I thought Mamzers couldn't have nationalities. But this is, again, predicated upon their incorrect understanding of what a Mamzer actually is. But Quadrusabala, go ahead, King.
No, Sock, you good. Good.
Absolutely, that's like non-denominational. Yeah, I'm not a Baptist. I'm not a Catholic. I'm non-denominational. Idiot. That is a denomination. So now, if I'm a Mamzer and I don't have a nationality, I still have a nationality because you cannot not have a nationality.
The nation of bastards.
Absolute madness. Uh, but you said we want to shut it down at 9:15, Chief, for the premiere.
Yeah. 5 minutes, 5 more minutes. We got a premiere going on the main channel. It's called Three Sisters Think Jesus is a White Boy. It's a powerful speaking by Assad through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. So definitely check it out on the Sakari main page in 4 minutes from now. 4 minutes from now. So any closing thoughts to the Akim on the panel? Bring it out and we can close out through the spirit. Make sure y'all follow the club, Sakari DAGGERHOUSE, and follow all the mods you got on stage.
So what I'll do is so while everyone's here again, because it seems like most of the people in the audience are not Negro only, click on the link in the top of
Well,
the
they're
page.
smart. We got smart people here at the Sakari DAGGERHOUSE. Goodly brothers and sisters.
That's right. So click on Viva Yasha Allah. Use this as a resource to just slice up Negro only brothers left and right. Okay, so click on that link so that you can add that playlist. And what I'll do is I will link the premiere on the top in just a second.
Definitely, y'all. I implore everybody through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, watch this series. The spirit was really on me to do a lot of real in-depth research on this. I mean, there's a plethora of scientific, historical, as well as scriptural data that's here that really tackles head on a lot of the problematic ideologies that Negro only spew. People who try to dispute the indigenous peoples of the Americas' identity as Israelites. It really confronts and knocks a lot of it out. I mean, bro, these people even have scriptures, right? Like in all of West Africa, I challenge you to find an original prophecy that matches up with biblical prophecy. You're not gonna find a lot of that. You might. I haven't seen anything. It's possible, but I know in West Africa we dealt with a lot of oral traditions. But I'm talking about literally The indigenous peoples of the Americas have prophecies that literally lined up word for word, almost verbatim, with the biblical ones, and they had it without having to have a King James version given to them. Like, how are we denying this? But a lot of people are not familiar with this information. So make sure y'all check out this series, because you're going to see that and so much more on in these 7 parts. The original series was 6 parts. Then we went ahead and we added last year a 7th part through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua when we opened up our school in Miami. So y'all make sure to lock that in. It's powerful. Every video is only about an hour. You know what I mean? So you can watch it about an hour at a time, and it's jam packed with information on the indigenous peoples of North, Central, and South America. There's a special emphasis on people of Mesoamerica, though, like Issachar and Zebulon, so-called Mexicans and Central Americans, because there's just such a wealth of knowledge that still exists for Aztecs and Mayans, etc., as well as Incas and other people, but especially them for the way that they developed this society. But definitely check that out, and then Ariel is going to pin the premiere that's getting ready to happen here in about 2 minutes on the main page.
I just changed it. So again, follow the clubhouse, the Card Dagger House. Invite people to join the club. All right, and then follow the moderators, brothers on stage. Follow each other. All right, and I hope you brothers and sisters were edified. And yeah, it's going to start in about 1 minute, so I'll go ahead and shut it down. Hope you brothers and sisters were edified. Shalom.
Shalom, Zion Network, promo code aside.
So
Ah.
Shalom.